To have passion in life is everything.
What's your Everest?
Oh,
Is it
yeah.
that 200-inch buck?
They just look so impressive when they're wide.
Especially running away.
Welcome to this week's episode of Eastmans Elevated.
It's like a think tank for outdoor activity.
Sounds exactly like my hunting. Just always thinking about it, always trying to evolve it and make it better.
Here's your host, Brian Barney.
Hey, what's happening, guys? Got a brand new Eastmans Elevated for you. So on today's podcast, I have on Preston Ward from Mountain Physio. So I met Preston at one of the TAC events in Salt Lake City, and we've kept in touch ever since. And so he started this business about physical therapy for us bow hunters or for us hunters. And he really helps guys with injuries, rehab, and get back to hunting season. He also helps prep hunters for these big mountain hunts that they're going to be going on. And so it made for a really interesting conversation about our bodies, what's susceptible, what helps us the most, exercises that we can do, what's going to be most beneficial in recovering from an injury. So just a great topic, and Preston's a diehard bow hunter as well. And so we dive deep down the rabbit hole. This year he started hunting antelope with a bow, and so we talk about that. He was able to harvest a bison with his bow, and so we talk about his setup for that. And then just some general hunting and stalking tips. And then we dive into the physical therapy side of things. But it made for an awesome conversation. I learned some stuff, and I also really enjoyed it and think you guys are going to enjoy it as well. Just want to thank a couple sponsors here. I want to thank Cryptek. Cryptek has put together the best technical mountaineering system that I've ever had. I'm super impressed by it, all the way from early season to mid-season to late season. I've got the gear to keep me comfortable and keep me out there hunting for longer, and also keep me safe. The first line of defense is our clothing. So from the early season, the Sonoran shirts, Sonoran pants are great. All the way to mid and late season, they now offer the Sentinel pant, which is a puffy pant, which is just awesome on the Vantage Point. I think their puffy coats are the best in the business. They're cut long, so they hang down and cover kind of my midsection. Super warm, super well insulated, lightweight, great hoods on them, just great gear top to bottom. So impressed, and I love their camo patterns as well. I use that Obscura Transitional for a lot of my hunts. It does really good in open country and blends in really well. Like that, it's like I'm invisible out there if I'm not moving. I also like their Altitude. It's a darker pattern, but it really blends in good with the timber and the trees and the shadows. So I've been using that a lot for moose. So just a great pattern. But if you're in the market for any new gear, make sure to go check out Cryptek. They're absolutely killing it with their gear. I also want to thank Black Ovis. So impressed by Black Ovis's site and Black Ovis's name brands. I was checking them out last week. I got a big hunt coming up. Had to grab a couple things. I've been using their game bags, which I've been really impressed by. But they carry all the top name brands along with their own brands, and they offer great deals. They also have a point system that they use where 1 point equals $1. So if you make purchases, you get points. If you do a review on any of the gear items you buy, you get points, and then you can use those for future purchases. They also have an arrow ID to help you choose arrows. They have a bunch of great programs that they do, and those guys are all hunters themselves. So they know the right gear to have. And you can save 10% by using our promo code on there. So just plug in Eastmans 10. That'll save you 10%, and also brings some weight to the podcast and the advertising they do with this. So I sure appreciate you guys for that. I also want to thank Camo Fire. Camo Fire is an app where they have 80 new hunting deals that come up every 24 hours. So they keep the top name brands, and you can get these huge discounts on gear by watching that app. So if you're in the market for some new gear, want to check out some new stuff, make sure to check out Camo Fire. I also want to thank Black Rifle Coffee Company. So I'm sipping on some Black Rifle now. They just, they make the best coffee in the business. I'm so impressed by their roasts. I'm part of their coffee club, so I get a new bag every single month that shows up. They are all great flavors. Like I love their roasts. They really put a lot of time and effort into it, and I love drinking it. They also have the best instant in the business. Their instant coffee is actually real coffee that's freeze-dried, and it doesn't bother my gut at all. I feel really good on it. Tastes like a good cup of coffee. Keeps me alive all hunting season with their instant packets. They also have some tea bags that are good as well. And all their stuff's good in there. I love their apparel as well, always wearing their hats. And they got some good quality shirts, so you can check that out as well. And thanks to those guys for the support of the podcast. I really appreciate it. So if you're in the market, if you love coffee, check out Black Rifle Coffee Company. With that, over at Eastman's, we've got that mule deer course that Dan Picard, Guy Eastman, and I came up with. You guys can check that out by searching Eastman's mule deer course. And, we're continuing to add to it. Filmed some stuff this season that we're going to add into the program. So, really excited. I think it's a great value. I think you can cut your learning curve by years in a couple weeks' time walking through the over 100 videos that we have on that. So, you can check that out. Check us out on Beyond the Grid. New episodes hitting. Got some good new hunts of mine. Dan Picard has been killing it on there. Such a great elk hunter. He killed 2 giant bulls this year. Super happy for that guy. Got to get him back on the podcast to talk elk. But we're doing that. We've got the Eastman's Bow Hunting Journal, Eastman's Hunting Journal. We've got Tag Hub, which is our internet research tool as we're starting to wind down on hunting season for research for next season. And they're always evolving that, making that better as well. So, check out everything we do over there at Eastman's, and sure appreciate your guys' support. And with that, so probably going to hear me talking about moose and the challenges, like not only on this podcast, but on a few future ones. It's been my life here recently, just trying to fit in days. And so I have over 30 days in, and I'm actually right in the middle of an experience right now. So arrowed a good bull last night. And last light, super pumped, man. It's been a long time coming, close to 30 days. That was 37, 38, 38, 39, 40. That was my 40th moose I'd seen. And finally caught up to a good bull, super stoked, put a perfect arrow into him. So I'm in the middle of an experience now. I've got to get this podcast out to you guys at about 4:30 in the morning now. So be back in there at daybreak, and I shot him about max distance you could shoot from a road, so we're going to have to work to get him out. He's a couple miles back in there, and they are big, but, oh, man, just so amazing. It's just such an awesome experience, so much hard work, effort, determination. I'm cloud 9 right now, so we'll get this podcast out to you guys. I will I'll release something here on social media, some photos of the bull after I get them all packed out, and then I definitely want to record a podcast just on moose and on thoughts, and and the way it ties to other seasons and other hunts. So man, I couldn't be more stoked. I'm in the middle of the experience now. It's a little unfair to tell you guys I shot one when I haven't packed it out yet, so I got to get back in there and get all that quality meat out. So man, I'm just super stoked. Just amazing. So with that, let's get into this podcast. It's a great one. I really appreciate Preston Ward coming on. Learned a ton during this podcast and really enjoyed the conversation. So again, this is Preston Ward from Mountain Physio, or Mountain Psycho, like he told a joke on the podcast. I hope it's on, I think he was talking about somebody ran into at a show that read his shirt wrong. It's so funny how the brain will auto-complete things, but Mountain Physio is the actual name, but Mountain Psycho fits too. But just a great guy. Really enjoyed the conversation, and I'm your host, Brian Barney, Eastmans Elevated. Here we go.
There we go. Cool. Yeah, no worries. Sorry. Thanks for my patient was going longer as well. So I'm like, oh, shoot. But it's all good.
It's always a scramble or a hustle to get through the day. At least for me, it seems like I'm always trying to get to some appointment or get to the job site or some meeting, like pretty much organized chaos.
Oh, pretty much exactly. For sure. What else do you do for work? You're up in Montana, right?
Yep, I'm in Ennis, Montana, and so
Are you in Ennis? We drove right through that then, on our way to Billings.
oh, right on.
There's that, whatever. We actually took pictures of the elk over the main street or whatever. That, I don't know what it is, the lodge or whatever.
Yeah, probably like the tin, the pack horse with the
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's a super cool little town and community. I'd love living here for sure. I'm super fortunate to be able to make a living here. So yeah, I run a small construction company and then do this stuff in the outdoor industry as well. So yeah, it keeps me hopping.
Awesome.
I take too much work, that's for sure. And then doing a personal house right now and
Are you?
yeah,
Nice.
and trying to hunt as much as possible. And so I'm just running
For
myself
sure.
ragged. I think my wife looked at me this morning and says, "Gosh, you have some big bags under your eyes. What have you been doing?" It's like, well, I worked till 8 last night. I haven't taken a day off, and I don't know how long. It's like going for it all weekend. 10 to 15 mile days. I'm like, man, I'm beat up and I'm getting old. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. Isn't that? I feel like that's how it is, though. It's like, well, I've been, man, like last week going crazy after. So there's a big buck running around here in Utah, and trying to, like, I found him, had him on the opener. Apparently I was only like 300 yards from him, and he's eluded people the last multiple years. And so now everyone's after him. So on the opener, there was 50 people in the space, and it was just disgusting, actually. And so now I'm on a mission, though. I'm like, I got to find him again. Where is he? And it's like, same thing. I'm just like, I go to work at the hospital, and then I do my own business as well, this Mountain Physio as well. So I do them both. So I'll work at the hospital or just see some patients here, and then I'll go up for 3 or 4 hours. And the other day, I'm just like, I'm just tired. By the end of hunting season, I'm just tired. Like,
I know, no matter how hard
just-
I train or how hard I prepare, it's like you just, it is the time to push your limits. Like most days I'm pushing to get in a run, but if it's hunting season, it's like any free waking moment. I need to be out there trying to make something happen. And so,
yeah.
it's not only the miles or the effort, it's like trying to work multiple full-time jobs, like both of your full-time jobs, and then
Exactly.
hunting's full-time as well, and then family life, and then
Yeah.
and sleep deprived. Like some of the places I'm hunting, like it's nice to sleep over there during the weekends, but if I get a free morning or evening, I'm just stuck to driving a couple hours in the dark and couple hours back and just trying to fit it in. But
I'm with you.
it does make us feel alive, though. It's like the only thing we think about when it's not season. So I guess I shouldn't complain too loud. I'm just glad I can go walk around with my bow and try to arrow something.
I know, that's how I am too. It's so much fun. It's just, that's what we live for, really, is just bow hunting. I was thinking about it. I'm like, I know that I want to ask Brian what his favorite animal to pursue is. I know what it is. It's mule deer, but I'm like, honestly, I just love hunting with a bow. It's so much fun. Like, anyways, it's just fun. When I went so we were up in Billings and antelope hunting up there this year, and that was so much fun. That was seriously, I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I need to hunt elk in September anymore. I could hunt antelope in September and be okay with it.
Dude, I'm with you. Like, people always want you to pick your favorite species, but it's really like, I'm like you. Like, I love bow hunting, and I love the challenge of different species and different habitats. And like you say, antelope hunting is some of the funnest hunting I do every single year. I look forward to its action, those dark horns, the prairie, wide open country, super switched on critters. Like, man, that's bow hunting action. And you asked me what my favorite is during the elk rut, and I'm gonna tell you elk. Because it's
Elk for sure.
so thrilling to go chase around. But if it's June and I'm going to Hawaii to hang out with my buddies, then it's Hawaii hunting axis deer. Like there's
exactly.
so many fun things to hunt that it's tough for me to choose just one. And now, like, I'm in the middle of I had a good first couple mule deer hunts and elk hunt, antelope hunt, and now I'm on this moose tag, and it's just super challenging, man. It's like a new species in a new habitat, and I caught myself, I'm maybe 20 days in now or something crazy, like just every free moment trying to get to moose country and find him. But the and I've hunted Yukon Alaskan moose. This is my first time for Shiras, and I scouted
Mm-hmm.
hard, and now that it's season, it's just like, oh, I just need to be out there and in moose country. But it's really it's like so random when you run into a big bull. Like they're so spread out
Yeah.
throughout the landscapes, and their densities are so low that it really
Yep.
takes being on the ball. And the things are out in the open for maybe the first half an hour of light, and then they're timbered up. And so I just have all these tactics of master vantage points, driving
Yep.
roads, and making hunts. And I actually had the best day I ever had. Like on Saturday, I saw 13 of
Nice.
them. And I saw
Sweet.
one shooter bull that was a good one that I went in on, and I hunted him for 3 hunts, a morning, an evening, and the next morning. And I ran into a smaller bull and passed him at 40 yards, ran into another couple cows. And man, I hung out for like 10, 15 minutes, never saw a bull. And, finally it's like, okay, well, I'll just leave him here, and then I'll come back and check on them. And they're just bedded like 20, 30 yards in front of me on this ridge. And I try to sneak around them, and I guess I just didn't give them, like, it was trying to play the winds. It was coming down in the coulee. It was coming up in the meadow. And so I tried to go around him, and my wind must have swirled, and I spooked him. And there was another critter or two in there that I saw flash by that could have been my bull, but
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
man, it's just been super challenging. But I do, like, it is going to make me a better hunter. And I caught
Oh,
myself going, like, man, I'm just a crappy moose hunter. I'm like, man, you just can't talk that way. It's like, I may be a crappy moose hunter, but by the end of this, I'll be a good one, or at least have some
Yeah.
sense of how to find these things. But yeah, man, it's been a challenge for sure.
I mean, that's so much. I mean, this is all, I don't know, this is all good material too, but that's so much what bow hunting is just even that like positive mental attitude, which from a healthcare practitioner, I talk a lot about, not even in the hunting world, but since my business is geared towards hunters and bow hunters, it's like having that positive mental attitude is so important. And same thing, the other day I'm like hiking up this 3,000 vert hill, or, this basin, and I'm like, I'm just tired. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I like I love it, but I'm like, man, what is going on? Why can't I get this done this year? I'm just like discouraged. I'm telling myself I'm discouraged. And then you're like, no, you got to get that out of your head. Like, this is bow hunting. It's hard work, especially when you're going after those, big trophies and stuff. But anyways.
Man, it's so true. You don't mind if we just get into it, do you?
No, not at all.
Okay,
no.
cool. I'll just I've already got it recording, so yeah, we'll just go from here. Like you say, it's like I knew I'd just connect with you like on a bow hunting level, so I didn't really need a plan for the podcast. It was just pretty much start talking. But that is it, man. It's like that positive mental attitude, positive mental talk, and it's even the guys that are consistently successful, like even me out there, like I have self-doubt, I have like a waning motivation, I have responsibilities that I think about or that I need to get back to, but I have to go through those same steps that I preach or that I tell guys. That exact same thing that you're talking about is that positive self-talk, that, hey, just, you've been waiting all year for this, just keep putting forth effort, it'll come together, keep hunting hard, keep theorizing, keep making positive moves. And it is like, the greater the challenge, the greater the reward. So something that pushes you to your limits, like Shiras Moose 20 days. And dude, it's just the way it is. Like I've got this buddy up that's elk hunting, and I'm like, oh, you should go check out this spot. I was glassing for moose there, and I saw a nice 6-point bull, and he goes up in there and sure enough runs into a giant moose, which it's great. It's like I've got him scouting for me. And then I just scour where he sees that bull, and I can't find it. He goes up another drainage. He's like, oh, I saw another monster up there. He was even bigger. His paddles were this big. And it's like, So then I go look for that one. Like I'm chasing this vapor trail of these moving targets that go around. So it is like frustrating at times, and I do pride myself, like I've built a good hunting base and hunting skill set, to find success consistently. And so, it's just a tough hunt. It's going to be a tough challenge, but it'll mean all that much more, if I do get one kill. It's like the beauty of bow hunting, right?
Oh, for sure. It can switch, it can change in a moment. Like my buddy, a patient that I was working with today, we were talking, and he's like, yeah, I had a bull at like 200 yards this week, and he had a rifle tag, and he ran into someone else. Anyways, he ended up shooting at it and stuff. And he's like, honestly, I thought to myself this morning, he's like, I'm not even going to go up. I just shouldn't even go up. Like, why would I go up? And I have had those thoughts as well. You're like, the moments that you just least expect it, you run into something, you're like, okay, now I got to put it into play. I got to play the wind. I got to, whatever it is, play the wind. I got to, check what my scent's doing. I need to, what are the thermals going to be doing? And you're like, okay, now it's game time. And so it's funny how it can just switch like that, though.
Man, it can. That's it. It's just like being out there and being in country and keep putting forth effort, and eventually you get one of those opportunities. You find a shooter, and even if I don't know what I'm doing, eventually I'll just get lucky and bump into one. I'm just in the woods long enough, and then it is
Exactly.
about like being clutch with those opportunities, just like you talked about, is like being at your best, not taking any shortcuts, trying to read that wind to the best of your ability. And really, it's like your years of experience come into play with wind. What are the thermals doing? What are the directionals doing?
Yep.
Being able to dissect what the wind's doing right there where you're at, how it's going to change, what it's doing where the animal's at, like all that comes into play. And then, you have to sneak in and really rely upon your instincts to not get caught moving and to take the right approach and use the ungulation, and like all these decisions come into play, and finding one, man, that's just half the battle. Like actually killing one is so tough. Like even I killed a great bull this year, but I think that was like my fourth or fifth like good play on good shooter 6-point bulls. And I played them really good and patient, didn't give myself away, followed all my rules, and sometimes it just doesn't come together. Like those 6, 7, 8-year-old bulls, they're crafty, man. They just like have a knack for making the right move, So it's definitely like high degree of difficulty.
Oh, absolutely. You hear it all the time that there's a reason why, big bucks get big. It's just because they really are like smart and, like you say, crafty. They're just like, they know the move to make, and it always seems to be against what we make and stuff. It always impresses me how these animals, like, I guess we're in the midst of rifle season now and almost kind of coming to the end of it. And I'm always like, by the end, I'm always like, oh, please let a few deer get through the year. At least please let a few elk get through the year. Like all these rifle hunters, I feel like, are just annihilating them. But then every year you go back and you're like, there's a big buck. So they obviously make it through a lot of the season. So it's just fun to watch.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Around here too, we have like long general rifle seasons. Like it's getting ready to open up October 25th and go, 5 weeks to the end of November for bulls and bucks and bucks during the rut, and so they're susceptible, but they do get conditioned throughout the years to find these places, these rutting grounds they can return to where they don't get pressured, or these bulls, they find these pockets to refuge in that can avoid, the Orange Army of guys like, I mean, it's not an Orange Army. It's guys that are working hard, and rifle season has its own set of challenges with the hunting pressure and tough seasons for game animals. And like, there's a lot of tough conditions, but these animals just get conditioned to it, and they get really good at hiding from guys no matter what the season is, whether it's with the bow, rifle, muzzleloader, whatever it is. They get crafty, good at like survival.
Yeah, I'll tell you what was so wild about so coming up there this year and hunting that antelope, which was spot and stock antelope hunting. Seriously, I'm like, that's my new. Everyone seems like they're just fanatic about bugling elk and stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start doing that in August, and I'm gonna go hunt elk in August, and I'm gonna hunt antelope in September. But what was so wild about that Montana, which was my first time up there, is how like you'll find elk. And even my buddy who I was with, he's like, yeah, I've seen moose down in this country. It's like he'll find moose, antelope, and elk and mule deer in the same country. I'm like, this is so wild. It's just so different up there. But cool country.
Yeah, a lot of those bulls will live in those sleeper spots and kind of some of those prairie spots for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
And they say that like originally they were a prairie animal. I don't know. They seem perfectly adapted to the timber and the mountains, and they really use their mobility to get away from people. But yeah, they there's a lot of sleeper bulls that live in the prairie. In fact, a kid that works for me that was antelope hunting this year found a good 6-point that he showed me. He didn't have an elk tag, and he's like, man, I found this good 6-point while I was antelope hunting. So yeah, You do find them in overlapping habitats. But yeah, I'm with you on those antelope, and they're really fun to hunt August 15th around here, but that's when everybody goes, all the hunting pressure
Is it?
goes, and it's like pre-rut for those things. And so as it gets to September, like I never feel bad about holding my tag because the hunting gets so epic during September. Those antelopes start to rut, chasing does, chasing other bucks around. Like, man, it can be some of the best bow hunting action all year long. And it's
Yeah.
they're tiny critters, great eyesight, like longer shots usually. Like they're a real challenge to kill with a bow. Like the first time
Oh yeah.
I decided to kill an antelope with a bow, and I've been hunting the 900 tag every year since it came out. But before it came out, or I guess like the first years it came out, it took me 3 seasons to kill an antelope with my bow. It was like, and I'd been bow hunting for a while. I hadn't found a lot of bow hunting success. I was still cutting my teeth and paying my dues, but it took me 3 seasons to kill an antelope with my bow. And at that point, when I started doing it, like there was nobody that thought you could spot and stalk them with a bow. But once you build your skill set, you can consistently kill good bucks with a bow and arrow on the ground, and it's so thrilling.
Yeah, I think you brought up a lot of things that I wanted to like just touch base on. But anyways, first on the antelope, yeah, that is true. It seems like, so we actually my hunt got cut a little bit short, and I didn't end up shooting any giant buck. But he's a little buck, and he's got tiny little prongs, cutters on him. But he's tiny, but still delicious eating. But it's crazy. Like the rut was so intense that I am convinced if we would have had one of those hats that people wear or whatever, a Montana decoy, the buck that chased my buck off multiple times, because I watched this buck, which we got to about 100 yards, and he had about his 7 or 8 does, and then he saw 2 other bucks coming, and he ran 300 yards or more dead sprint to chase those 2 bucks off, and the smaller buck that I ended up shooting just was dumb enough to just keep trying to go after, and I'm sitting on this open hillside with my brother like, oh my gosh, this buck is going to push this buck right to us. And that's exactly what he did. But I'm like, if we would have had a Montana decoy, that buck would have been on us so quickly.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, I haven't used
it's wild,
him.
just so cool.
I haven't used him much. Like, I'm so in love with like the art of stealth and spot and stalk, and that I've always thought if I can spot and stalk, well, I can kill any animal out there in any season. And so I like pride myself on that with antelope. But a lot of times I'm playing into the antelope's strengths instead of their weaknesses, like playing into their weakness of, they're not scared of blinds, or they cross fences in the same spot, or like you say, the ability to decoy. And I did decoy a buck one time. My dad had a decoy, and it was the middle of the rut, and there was a buck in the wide open, and I walked out there and tried to set that thing in the ground, and that thing about ran me over. And I remember I was trying to get the stakes in the dirt, but the ground was too hard to get the stakes in to have it stand up, and so I barely got it stood up, and it's trying to blow over, and I think I ended up like getting a range, but he was running right at me, and he got so close. And I think I airballed him. I think I missed him at like 30 yards or 25 yards or something crazy, as I just didn't have a range on him, and sent one over him. But yeah, it is like playing into their weakness, and I think you're right. Like with the hat or with the decoy, in the right time of year, in the peak of the rut, like what you were hunting, I'm sure you could do some damage with one of those.
Yeah, it was fun. Like I said, my hunt got cut short. We had a family loss and everything like that, so I was up there for literally a day. We hunted one day. I had 2 stalks, a stalk in the morning, stalk in the evening, stalks throughout the day as well. So I think we had 6 stalks that first day, and then the next morning we had to get going by like noon, and I'm like, I'm shooting whatever comes to me, honestly, and this one came. But it's crazy because those shots, I mean, I feel like antelope are broadside until you go to shoot, and then they're always facing you. It's like every single time they just turn and they're just looking at you. So I'm like, what the heck? I have to take a frontal shot. And anyways, it was pretty fun though.
Yeah, they can catch or detect movement so well, and so trying to draw your bow and trying to get your bow high enough above the grass to get a pin on them, and yeah, they almost always see you and then turn and come towards you or come right at you. So yeah, no, they're a real challenge, and then they're a bugger too for jumping strings. Like they will flat get out of the way of an arrow. It's not most of the shots are longer, and it's not like this ducking the arrow before it gets there. They're flat 2 yards, 4 yards beyond the arrow by the time it hits the dirt. Like, they can react really quick, and jump the string. And so, I mean, all you can do is put the pin where it goes and execute your shot. And it seems like eventually one will hold still. But yeah, it's probably like maybe 50% or maybe a third, or I guess depends on the bow and the harmonics or whatever, but a lot of them will jump your string.
Yeah, but again, that was so much fun. I'm like, all these people that are in love with elk hunting, which it seems like you see on Instagram or social media, it's like September hits and everyone's like, whatever about these early season mule deer, we're going to forget those and we're just going to be elk hunting for all of September. I'm like, cool. I'm gonna go antelope hunting now. That's my new favorite thing to do.
Well, and there's something special to like having the prairie to yourself or having the mountains to yourself. It's like, off-season hunting in Montana. Like right now in October, I've had a buddy out here that's done great hunting, and there's no hunting pressure around and good bulls. Like sometimes it is just like this off-season hunting, or like heading out and hunting pre-rut mule deer with a bow before anybody gets out there with a rifle. Like there's these certain parts of the season that I think you can take advantage of, where you can get just this amazing experience where it's just you in the prairie and the antelope, or you in the mountains and the elk, or whatever it is. And it's just like such a quality experience, versus, when there's a lot of hunting pressure. And, I deal with the hunting pressure fine. I can still go find my own experiences. The mountains are big enough, but in the same breath, it is nice not to see boot tracks or to be the only guy hunting a species there.
Exactly.
It's pretty fun.
And that was interesting about Montana is how, obviously hunting the public land, so all the checkerboard style of it, and it was just so like you'd have like a half of an acre by, or not even an acre by an acre, but like a mile by a mile, and that's basically all you'd have to hunt, and then go to the next one, and like there'd be antelope in those little sections, but it's just kind of interesting there. But as far as getting away from pressure and stuff, like you said, I thought it was really cool. Montana, speaking of the elk, used to live on the prairie. So I shot a buffalo last year here in Utah with my bow, which was super cool. And, but just imagining like the amount of buffalo there in Montana as I sat there looking across the prairie, I'm like, I bet they were just, it looks like ideal country for buffalo, anyways, just a thought that came to my mind.
Yeah. Historically, there were just a ton of buffalo across these prairies. There's actually a buffalo jump that's near me where the Indians would run them off the cliffs, and then camp down below and process them there. And then, we find chips of obsidian and arrowheads. And like the same day I found my bull, I found like a tip of an obsidian arrowhead that was like super cool. And on the same ridge or in the same place where I was, I don't know if he was hunting sheep or, what he was hunting, but yeah, man, that bison had to be a cool experience. That's not an easy tag to draw, like one of those free range Utah archery tags.
Exactly.
Is that what it was?
Yeah,
man,
it was.
Congratulations.
So
I hear those are really tough.
It was so much fun. And they really are like you say about this moose hunt that you're on right now, like every animal has its own distinct features that make it so exciting. And just with bow hunting, like that's whatever season is in, I'm like, that's the animal that I love hunting. But that bison hunt, it really was difficult in the fact of they are jumpy critters. Like they're huge, they weigh a lot, but they are jumpy. Like we could get within bow range. I think we did I think it was a total of 12 stalks that I got within bow range every single time. And then the wind would switch, and they don't just stand up like an antelope even and look at you. They stand up and run for miles and don't stop. And you're like, what the heck just happened? I was there, I was in their wheelhouse. And so it definitely had its challenges, but it was cool. I ended up shooting one, free ranging. He was a nice bull, and had my whole family there, my wife and my daughter, I guess, and some friends there, and it just was an awesome experience. Perfect shot, 70 yard, had a complete pass through. It was just a cool experience, bow hunting buffalo. We're still eating the meat right now to this day, and it's just so awesome.
Man, that's great performance on your weapon, too, to get a pass through at good distance like that. Perfect shot, have that bison like a one arrow kill. That's pretty impressive with your gear as well.
Yeah, I was super happy about that's honestly like so yeah, that's what I like last year. I set everything up to be like I'm hunting buffalo, and then I shot that buffalo. Then the next week I shot a cow elk. Same thing, about the same distance, 70, 75-ish yards, and same thing, one arrow. Like, so anyways, as a bow hunter, like that's exactly what you live for. And when I was, you hear all these stories of, these bison that soak up all this lead, and you're going to shoot them 5-6 times with, a 300 ultra mag, and like all these stories like that. And so I want to go to one of the things you said earlier is so many people were like, there's no way you'll kill one with a bow. There's no way you'll, get close enough to kill one with a bow. There were so many of those naysayers. And so I think that's also the challenge of like, no, I'm going to do this. It's been done. I'm doing it as well. And that's what I love about it, and just the challenge there. And so that's what I set everything up for. And that was almost like a fear of mine, is like, if I don't hit this good, I don't want this buffalo running away with an arrow stuck in it. And so to have it like perfect shot, I was just super happy with that.
Man, it doesn't get any better, right? Like quality execution, quality shot.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a bison, unless hit lethally, would just go forever. Such a tough animal and so big.
Yeah.
How was like the process in the pack out? You said you had a bunch of your family there with you?
Well, I had my wife and my daughter, so it was a cool process, and I've talked about it before that we ended up going down there, had a friend who helps actually guide on that area, and so he does that. His family was there with young kids. So when we stalked into it, I was actually by myself as I stalked in, and then my buddy came back and kind of sat on the hillside watching, and I sat in this open sagebrush, area for like 4 hours in the blistering hot sun in the desert of Utah. This was August. I think I shot him August 9th. So hot as can be. And after we shot him, the whole process is like, I shot him at like 4:35. This is after like waiting for the thermals to switch, moving in on a herd of about 70. And then the herd that he was in was about 35, and they were a little bit closer. And like he came out into the sagebrush just like rutting and like tearing up the sagebrush. And I'm like, at one point I'm like, I'm actually kind of scared. Like this is a big animal, and all I have is a tiny little like pinyon juniper to protect me. So sneaking on my hands and knees, and I just remember like the sand being so hot on my hands that like as you're stalking and as you're bow hunting, and you're on your hands and knees stalking in, I'm like, every time I put my hand in, I'm like, gosh, it's hot. And then my knees were hot, and it's just like everything's. So as I'm coming in, like I remember leaving my backpack, and then I remember taking just my spotting scope and my pistol, and then I remember like leaving my spotting scope, and then I remember like just shedding items as I got closer. I remember like setting my pistol down and being like, okay, I'm going in bow and arrow, and I get within 35 yards and there's a herd of buffalo, and I can hear them snorting and like doing all like grunting and all sorts of things. And I'm sitting there, no water, nothing, for multiple hours, and like little tiny raindrops are coming down, and I'm like trying to catch these raindrops with my mouth because I'm just like parched. And so anyways, eventually he stands up, the wind switches, crazy thing. And instead of them like standing up looking, they just take off in a herd. And I'm like, what the heck? The dust settles. He's still standing there looking at me with his cow. So I draw back, and he's 35 yards. And then all of a sudden he takes off and runs out to 70, turns and stops and looks at me. And I'm like, now or never. So I dial my sight, do the whole process, shoot, make a perfectly executed shot. It went through his heart. He was slightly quartered away. It was just a great shot. It actually hit low, which in a buffalo you want. And I'm like, oh man, it was too low. So I'm like freaking out and all sorts of things. And anyways, it ends up then pouring after that. So as again, bow hunter, you're like, oh no, the blood trail is going to be gone. And we go back up to the truck, and we're like 2 miles away up to camp, 2.5 miles. get my wife and daughter and my friend and his son, and we hike back down there, and we go right up to the blood trail, and we find this bull dead, and he piled up. He probably only ran 200-300 yards, died probably within, I don't know, a few minutes is all. And so then we start the process, and we didn't get back to camp. It took us about 4.5 hours to process the whole thing. We couldn't even, these animals are so big that we tried to get them up to take the typical like buffalo picture, but we just, like the 3 adults, we just could not do that. And so we have my 7-year-old, my buddy's 7-year-old, they're there in the middle of the night. They're asleep by the fire as we're cutting up this buffalo, and then we hike out in the pitch black with buffalo on our backs and get back to camp at 3:34 in the morning. And it was just such a crazy experience. Like, it really, like, that's the quick version, but it's just awesome. So cool.
Man, it's like such an adventure, and so killer to share it with like good people, and to share it with your family, and you know, and to have that middle of the night pack out. It's just wild, man.
Yeah, my daughter, it was cool. Like she was 7, and like I said, my buddy's son is 7, I think 7 or 8, and they were just like, to have them there, like cheering us on. We're walking in the middle of the night, and like, it's just an experience that my wife and my daughter and I will just never, ever forget. Like, it was just so cool. But I think, one of those, like I said, that comment where people are like, oh, you can't get that done with a bow. It's just like, yes, you can. Like, just bow hunting is tough. You just got to keep pushing through, and time in the field, and just lots of stalks, that's what I'm working on right now, is just trying to find this big buck. And it's just like multiple days and time, just trying to get it done.
Persistence is deadly, you know. You just got to keep putting forth effort, keep going. I just keep telling myself that same thing. Just any free morning or evening I can squeak out, it's just okay, one more. Just got to make it happen, you know. Sure, I'll be tired. I'll be driving half the night to make it home, but you know, I've got a good supportive family, and it's like, man, persistence is deadly. If nothing else, if I'm good at nothing else in bow hunting, I'm persistent. You know, it's like the one thing that
exactly
that really kills animals. So yeah, man, and so many other facets go into it too. You know, like being clutch on stalks, and your instincts, and you know, being able to have good areas, or how to find good areas. Like there's so much that goes into it, and then like what you specialize in too, like physical fitness. Like, it wasn't too many years ago, and guys didn't see the benefit of it, you know. So like, tell me about it's Mountain Physio, right? And I met you up at TAC. And so tell me like the company and why you started it, and what you guys are all about.
Yeah, thanks. No, you're absolutely right. I think it's interesting to see the fitness realm in hunting and how it's changed to, I brought this up multiple times, that I feel like hunting used to be this, and especially maybe even bow hunting, like it wasn't this 365 days a year season. It was like, let's go out in August, you know, and we'll hunt. And maybe there were those diehards. It just wasn't as prevalent, I guess. But now it's like, if you really want to get that moose, if I really want to get after that deer, like, you have got to be on the top of your game, not only like hunting wise, but wind, like we said, all that, and like persistent and everything else, but you got to be on the top of your game. So with that comes injury. And so what I'm a doctor of physical therapy, and I graduated from the University of Utah here. And as I was in my residency program in orthopedics, I just was thinking, I'm like, I always kind of been that entrepreneur where I've loved to start my own thing. And the fitness, this was 4 or 5 years ago now. And almost 5 years. And the fitness realm was growing and continued to grow. And you had a lot of personal trainers and stuff out there doing a lot of good stuff, and, you know, doing a lot of conditioning and everything. But I'm like, man, where's that physical therapist? Where's the doctor in the hunting industry that's, you know, preaching rehab, and that's, you know, promoting like a whole health body awareness, and like sleep and hydration and all sorts of things, nutrition, of like, where's that, and where's the science into the hunting industry? And so that's where I started my business. So it was, like I said, about 4 or 5 years ago, and just saw this kind of void, I'm going to say, in the hunting industry, where there's a lot of good trainers pushing, you got to be fit and you got to do this and you got to be super strong. But I'm like, where there was a void is that rehab. Like, you're out in the middle of the season, now let's rehab an injury. Let's do some prevention on injuries as well. And so I started up my practice, and now it's grown like crazy, and go to all these tax and 3D events, and I've hired therapists across the country now, so I have them working for me. And so just such a cool thing. Like, I see it really going across the whole country and providing physical therapy to specifically like bow hunters, and just outdoors athletes across the country. So anyways, I'm super, super blessed, super cool. I love what I do. I love Mountain Physio. Like, it's been a fun thing to start. So.
Yeah, it's super cool, man. The physical therapy or the mountain. So like a lot of the clients you're working with are trying to like rehab an injury, or maybe have some like pain in the spot that they're trying to get rid of, or are they working on like range of motion? And then like, what are some of the like preventative stuff you do with your clients to prevent injuries? Is it like to prepare your knees for loads, or like talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, exactly. No, you bring up a good point. So a lot of my clients, so I'd say honestly 90, I'm an orthopedic specialist, so that's what my board specialty is in. And there's not so I'm a board specialist in orthopedics, and then I've turned that to archers and bow hunters. So like, for me, been an archer for the last 20 years, bow hunting for the last 20 years, and now work with the USA archery team. So I'll go travel to like the World Cups with them, and just kind of having a physical therapist that's also knows archery and bow hunting is super important for them. So anyways, a lot of the stuff that I do, I'd say 99% of the people that I see, I do see I have volleyball players and high-end athletes that way, but 99% of the people I see are avid bow hunters that are just preparing for, whether it's a once in a lifetime tag or deer hunting or elk hunting or whatever it is, like, and a lot of back pain. I see a lot of people with back pain, shoulder pain. Knee pain is probably one of the most prevalent, where people have some sort of knee pain and they want to prevent it from getting it worse. They want to rehab it. And so, yes, giving them, like, preparing them for loads and helping them, where my skill set is and specialty is basically finding the appropriate dosage, or we'll say the appropriate load to not cause extra injury, but also enough that we're doing something. And this is super common. You'll probably appreciate this as a bow hunter. Like, I call it arrow dosing. So you want to shoot enough arrows every day, but you also don't want to shoot too many arrows where it's just, you're causing an extra inflammatory response, or you're causing extra injury. And so I help people with that, put together programs for individualized programs to help them with knees, backs, hips, neck, everything, you name it, shoulders, but also individualized programs specific towards hunting.
Oh, right on. So, like, if a guy has like a rotator cuff problem, or he's got like a knee that's bothering him, or his back sore, and he's got his once in a lifetime hunt coming up or season coming up, then he calls you a month out, 2 months out, 3 months out, whatever it is, and it's like, Doc, how bad is it? Like, what can we do leading up to it? And so then you give him, like you say, a number of arrows he can shoot, or a number of miles, or the physical therapy he can do to strengthen it and get it better for season. And then you say you also do programs for just guys that want to prepare, right? That come in and see it and go, hey, Doc, I don't, like me, I train really hard, and, I may get some minor bumps and bruises along the way, but for the most part, I'm pain-free, like no pain in my joints, no pain in my shoulders. Get my back nice and healthy, work on my flexibility, my strength, work on my endurance year round. And so, like, I would come to you and say, Doc, I've got a big season coming up. Like, I've got all these hunts and got these mountain hunts, and then you would like build me a program for strengthening for those like specific mountain hunt that I'm going on, like a mountain goat hunt next year or something like that.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I've had actually, speaking of mountain goats, two of my clients this year, both successful on mountain goats. And so, so that exact same thing happened. They're like, I've got this big hunt coming up. I'm an avid hunter, and I know what it, know what it calls for. And so we put together a program and said, okay, do this every single day for the next, whatever, 3 months, and you'll be ready. And both my clients were super successful on those mountain goat hunts. So I think one might be an acquaintance of, I know he's been on the show, but anyways, he'll maybe reach out to you and tell you. But yeah, anyways, so that's exactly what I do, is people who know the sport, but then also people who are new into it, and like, hey, I want to go out west. So I do a lot of virtual based visits. I do a lot of stuff. I'm out of Salt Lake, so I practice out of Salt Lake, have my own clinic here, but then I also do a lot of virtual across the country, where putting together these individualized programs and looking at people form. And so people who are new, they're like, hey, I want to go out west and go elk hunting. That's a huge thing that everyone seems to be wanting to do. It's like, okay, well, this is what's necessary for that. And this is where you need to prepare. And so I'll look at them move and kind of do a whole movement analysis and bow hunting analysis, where I'll look at them shoot and all sorts of things and correct errors, and basically just help people try to move better and without injury. And like I always say to people, like, I love working with the people who are 30 to 65, because they have some bumps and bruises along the way, and they know like they're not as young as those 20-year-olds or 18-year-olds that can just push through it and be fine the next day.
Yeah, totally.
So it's all fun though. I love working with all my athletes. Like it's all, yeah, it's fun. Good time. Been able to help out a lot of people and feel just very blessed that way, actually. Like it's fun to see people across the country, and then referrals from them and coming back. And if something else is bothering them, hey, my knees are feeling fine, but my shoulder this time, or whatever. It's just super cool, like a fun practice to have.
Man, it's like feeling 100%. Like we started the conversation talking about how tired we both were, from season and work and everything else, which the only reason we can push past that, and like it's part of season. You just fight fatigue, and you sleep deprivation, and all those things that I'm so good at year round, of taking care of myself. Like it suffers during hunting season because I am pushing my limits, but there's nothing worse than like not feeling 100%. Like being on a hunt and pulling my neck out, or having a back pull out or something like that. And it all comes back to the work you put in prior to season, but it can happen to all of us. Like the human body isn't perfect, and as hard as I work at my fitness and flexibility and everything and feeling 100%, occasionally I'll have something like that go out, where my back will slip or my neck will slip or something will go out. And anymore, with all the fitness that I do, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's not going to go out on a 10 or an 8 or a 9 where I have to be on the couch. For me now, if something goes out, it may be a 1 or a 2, something that is annoying, but something that I can hunt through and get through, and I'll feel good in a couple days. It's no big deal. But I do see where like that preparing for season or preventative maintenance on the body to prevent any of those injuries is so important. And so to have like somebody build you this custom workout based on your ability and flexibility and strength and everything that you analyze, and also looking at their archery and their shot, man, that's a incredible resource and a great idea for a business. So since we're on a podcast, like what can you give me? What should guys be doing for these Western hunts, or what are some of your staples? Like give me an average workout that you would maybe draw up for me for a season, maybe something that I'm not doing or not paying attention, or something that I should focus on more for these big mountain hunts.
Yeah, I think, for these big mountain hunts especially, is loading up the muscles that you don't typically load up at the gym throughout the year. So everyone works their quads, right? You're doing squats, you're doing some deadlifts and stuff like that. But I'll say, I'm just going to jump into here, the carrying heavy packs and heavy loads and side hilling and all sorts of things. Like if we start from your ankle, like even doing some like specific ankle exercises, and like even though you're hiking and you're doing a bunch of hill raises, going up on your toes, like that can be a super effective exercise to put on a pack and do some hill raises and stuff. Mainly because I've fought this before, where you have some Achilles tendonitis build up because you're just hitting it so hard. Like I think last year, I mean, it gets dark at whatever 5:30 at night, and so after the hospital or whatever, after some patients, I'd go hit it for 2-3 hours, and you're just like running up the mountain as quick as you can to hunt that last 30 minutes, and then back down, and the next day do the same thing, and so your body can just take some bumps and bruises along the way. So hill raises, balance exercises on like one of those half balls, the Bosu balls. Really good for that ankle stability. Then, so where I was headed with this was like a big core muscle that not a lot of people think about when they're carrying packs and stuff. Like if you carry a heavy pack and everything, odds are you're going to feel it right around the outside of your hip muscle. And so those hip abductors, so like a lot of like the leg lifts and stuff with the bands, or maybe the monster walks with bands, is a huge part that I think we need to continue to focus on. Now, especially now, like we're in the middle of the season, you hunted 20 days for this moose, and you're going to still hunt another 5 days, 4 or 5 days this next week or this week, and you're just going to keep pushing it super hard. I'm doing the same thing for this mule deer. Is a lot of rehab in the middle of the season is super important. And so the rehab can look like with a lot of the simple exercise bands. I've got them on my website, like simple exercise bands that you can purchase, or that most people have around the house, like that hip workout, the sidestepping, just to kind of like sets of 2 or 3 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions, just to kind of keep those muscles awake and the circulation, the blood flow to those areas. And then another good one is a lot of people are familiar with some of these yoga poses, but like a figure 4 or a pigeon pose, like cat and camel, bird dogs, things like that, cobra pose, child's pose. A lot of those are really good just to kind of mobilize the entire body and stretch, especially, like I say, now in the middle of the season. And I'll say one more thing that I think is really important, especially for us bow hunters that are hunting. We can hunt starting in August all the way through the middle of December, and then you have other hunts basically down in Arizona that open up, right? So you can be hunting a lot and have your quiver full of broadheads, basically. So if you're not shooting those, you should be shooting regularly throughout the season. But at a minimum, if you're not shooting every day, even a couple arrows, like you should definitely be using those exercise bands. Like I said, I've got on my website that you can use to just work that rotator cuff and just kind of work those same muscles that we used basically building up to the season. You see this huge push where people are going to Total Archery Challenge and they're shooting hundreds of arrows, and then all of a sudden hunting season hits and they're just not doing that anymore because, like you said, they're working. Like you and I were working, and then the time we do have, we're not going to be using it in the gym. We're pushing it out on the mountain, chasing those animals, because we know that just time in the mountain, time in the field, that consistency or persistent is what gets it done. And so, using some of those simple bands and stuff like that can go a really long way for shoulder health. So that was a lot there, but like those are a few of the exercises that I would choose. And I've got some YouTube videos on this, and I've got articles and things like that I've written and stuff. But anyways, just a bunch of things you can do that people should be doing.
Man, it's so spot on. Yeah, there's so much great stuff there. You're exactly right. Like on the pack weight, like I do a ton of trail running to get ready for season, and I love it because it works all those things you're talking about. My balance and my ankles are so strong, and all my supportive muscles. Like I get to go uphill and downhill. I get to side hill. Like it strengthens all those things. But you're spot on. Where some years I run so much and haven't put in the pack work, and then even though my legs are in ripping shape, the minute I stick on 45 pounds to go on an expedition style hunt, like all of a sudden now my back is sore after the first day or the first 3-4 days or working it in. So I think it's important to have that that pack on, and I did a good job, leading up to season this year and making sure I got those weighted rucks in. And I used like a lot of my scouting trips for that, but just getting that pack on, I mean, mowing my lawn, like just any excuse to have my pack on and get used to that weight to where it's just normal. Because even my day pack's ridiculous. It's like if you're going to bring a scope and a tripod, or you're going to bring a nice camera, I mean, even my day pack is 20 pounds. So, man, I thought that was great. I like all that band work that you can do at home. It's so nice not to have to go to a gym, and you can get that workout, and you can get it consistently multiple times a day. It's like I live close to the mountains, so it's easier for me to get to the mountains, but it's still a commitment to drive there, get my workout, and drive home. And I do a lot of like strength exercises here at the house, like a lot of body weight exercises. And I noticed for me, like a lot of it is like awkward positions. Like when I used to pull my back out, it wasn't really lifting heavy loads. My back is strong. It was like lifting heavy loads in awkward positions. And so it seems like I work just a lot of those core muscles now, a lot of the twists, or a lot of the like the Turkish get-ups, or the just all that stuff that works like the total core from top to bottom. It seems like that really helps me out. And the stuff that wears me out the most with these dang moose is like hunting these things in that downfall nightmare timber, because they like thicker stuff and they like bottoms. But it's like a parkour course out there. Like the trees I'm going under and over, and my pack's hooking on, and that's what really exhausts me. And these moose, like I've had different techniques. And this weekend I knew where a good bull was, or I knew like where this couple really good drainages are. And so I just went to putting in mountain miles and doing what I know best. It's like, all right, I'm gonna put 10 to 15 miles, mountain miles on a day, a couple thousand feet of vert, and I'm just going to hike around mornings and evenings and glass every little opening and just try to catch these things. And also, like, not only hiking the miles, but moving slow takes so much effort. Like it takes so much core strength and balance, like you were talking about. And so, like if you can do that 365 days a year, at least get these strength training workouts in, work on your balance, work on these smaller muscles, work on your back muscles in awkward positions, it pays nothing but dividends come season. And it also it like strengthens your resolve. It like making yourself get in these workouts is a bit of paying your dues towards season. And so you're also like sharpening your mind and sharpening your discipline, like all these things. Like there's nothing but benefits from it, man. So yeah, like I think that's such great advice for the mountains and getting ready for them. And I feel like I've been doing it enough years that I've almost shaped my body for the mountains. Like this has been my culture for, like you were saying, 25 years. I've been working as hard as I can, and that just keeps evolving every year, at my physical fitness, at being ready in the mountains. And so like I've turned my body into a bit of like a mountain man, where like it's used to the work now. It's used to the season. It remembers it, And so I think like that year after year of doing those small things and those exercises, I think eventually you shape your body where you do avoid injuries, or like you're really effective during season, man. So such great advice.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I love. I love helping like hunters, pretty much everyone probably listening to this podcast and stuff, but just serious mountain athletes, I call them, hunters, bow hunters, that just, I think like I said earlier, is you see this, it's no longer like, yeah, we're going to go hunt the opener, for a couple days. It's turned into this passion that you're hunting or thinking about it, or always preparing, or, scouting on X or whatever it is. Like I'll sit there at night. I'm like, okay, which drainage am I going up tomorrow? Which drainage am I going to go up on Saturday when I have a little extra time? And you're always just putting it together. And so like just making sure that you're putting your body as well. I always say, at the top of the list as well, I always tell people like some of the most important investment that you can make in hunting is yourself, and just being prepared, and the knowledge you learn, and just really taking care of your body. And so I always tell people, like when I work with them, I'm like, my goal, maybe I shouldn't say this, but my goal is to work myself out of a job. I want to teach you the things that you can do on your own to, help you season after season. And maybe next year I'll see you for something else and we'll do the same thing. And we just kind of build on it, and we kind of just help, I help you get ready for the season, get ready for whatever you're passionate about, which usually comes down to some sort of bow hunting, which is just so fun.
Man, that's beautiful, Preston. Yeah, that's like what it's all about. Well, the reason why you're doing so well with Mountain Physio is it's your passion. Like you are one of us living the lifestyle. You know what it means, and you're working just as hard as we are to find that consistent success year after year. And so you have like a passion for it. And so like you really care about guys, and you want to see them succeed, and you know what it takes to succeed, and so you're able to prepare them for the mountains like you would prepare for the mountains. And so I think it's like a great thing when you can help these guys. And there's nothing, you feel so helpless when you have an injury or when something's paining you, and it's tough on us guys physically, right, if we're capable of doing it, but it almost weighs on our mind mentally. Like we wonder, is this really hurt? How bad is this? Am I going to be able to hunt this season? Like just the stress load of worrying about it. Like, am I going to be 100%? Where they can come talk to somebody like you that's studied and trained and paid his dues in both bow hunting and the medical field, to where you can advise them and go, here's what I think it is. Here's what we can do moving forward. Let's make you a plan. You're going to go do your hunt this season. We're going to get you healed up. Like, man, that is a gift you were given to guys, because it'd be pretty helpless, like having an injury and not being able to go on your dream hunt. So like, what a great resource you are, man.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to me to hear that. I appreciate that. It's exactly what, like this lady, this individual I was working with tonight, basically, wanted that same thing, just some confirmation. Like, is this really that bad, or what can I do? Am I going to injure it more? Go through the full evaluation and, be like, this is what it is. This is the diagnosis, and this is the plan. And just sometimes that, like you said, that peace of mind, because mentally, for sure, I oftentimes think that more than a physical therapist working on the body, as a physical therapist in the training that I have, just with behavior and helping people mentally as well, is a huge portion of what I do, and is just helpful for people to have that confidence in. So
yeah, man,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I'm just smiling because it is so funny. Yeah, you're part psychologist as well. Exactly. What's like going that through us hunters' head, and then the injury so well and what they've done and what they're capable of, So a bit of a psychologist as well, man. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you're doing good work. Well, you'll hopefully stay injury free. I will, but if I ever come across anything, you're going to be the first phone call I make, or even a little twist or tweak. I'll definitely be dialing you up to see how I can strengthen that more, or what exercises I can be doing to target, whether that's the lower back or whether it's the upper neck. It seems like anytime I hurt something like that, it's like, man, what could I be doing more of to prepare my body so this doesn't happen? And so I'm probably going to be bugging you all the time now, but I really appreciate you coming on, Preston.
Absolutely, anytime. Yeah, text me anytime. Like you said at Total Archery Challenge, when I saw you there, I was like, I've listened to Brian. I know he's basically my type of person right there. We gotta do this podcast. We gotta get together, because you call me anytime.
Cool. Where can guys get a hold of you at?
Best option is my website, probably at Mountain Physio, just MTNPHYSIO.com. So mountainphysio.com. I laugh kind of because my mom was wearing one of my shirts that I had made up and stuff, and someone said, Mountain Psycho, what's that? And I was like, well, I guess if the shoe fits, but it's mountainphysio.com. I'm kind of one of those as well, but mountainphysio.com. Instagram is probably the easiest way. You can DM me, and that's where I'm most active, and that's mountain_physio, and on Facebook and everything else, YouTube. But mountainphysio.com is my website, and people can reach out to me. I've got a bunch of resources there for them too.
Man, so cool. Yeah, well, thanks for everything you're doing, Preston. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Of course. Thanks, Brian.
All right, guys. That's a wrap. Fun conversation with Preston. That guy is so knowledgeable. Man, if I ever had, well, I'm gonna hit him up no matter what. But if I ever had an injury, he'd be the first call I'd make. But I'm gonna hit him up in the off season as well, as I want to be doing everything I can to prepare my body. I saw a great post on his social media the other day. It was a hamstring stretch. And a really good one, as my hamstrings, get fairly tight when I'm running and things. So that looked like a good exercise to get my hamstrings ready, to get them warm. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. Puts on a great social media, runs a great business, and really happy I connected with him. And hopefully you guys learned something as well. Also want to thank Eastmans for all their support. You can check out the Mule Deer course, check out Tag Hub, Eastman's Bow Hunting Journal, Eastman's Hunting Journal. Check us out on Beyond the Grid, which you can search YouTube, Eastman's Hunting TV, and be good to go there. Also want to thank our sponsors for the support. Thanks so much to Cryptek. Man, those guys have just been on it. And they do such a good job of at least this relationship that I have with them, that Eastman's has with them. They really want my input on gear, how they can improve it, what should be next. And it's just amazing to have that kind of relationship and input into the gear that I wear, that keeps me out there hunting longer, keeps me safe in the mountains. So I'm just so impressed by the company. I really like everybody there at the company. In fact, I want to get Josh on. He's one of the founders. And we almost connected last week, and he had some company come into town. But I'm going to get him on the podcast. Guy's a diehard bow hunter, and he's a student of the game. He's just like us. Like, he sat in on one of my seminars and then had a bunch of insight and questions, and you can just tell that guy loves hunting with every fiber of his being. And so they're a hunting company, pro Second Amendment company, military veterans. I just really like supporting this company. So make sure to check them out at Cryptek. Another great company is Black Rifle Coffee Company. I absolutely love their coffee. I'm drinking it right now. It's 4:30. I didn't get much sleep last night, as I need to get back in there and get that moose packed out. But I absolutely love their coffee. It fuels me day in, day out. Love their instant packets. Just another great company that I love showing my support to. And then also Black Ovis stepped up as sponsors here on Eastmans Elevated. Those guys are hunters as well. In fact, I need to check in with them and see how their hunting season went. But just a great internet retail store. You can get great deals on there. And also put in that you can tell I'm just out of it. Promo code, not Como Prod. So you put in that promo code. It's Eastman's 10. Save yourself 10% there at Black Ovis. And also check out Camo Fire, super addictive app, but there's 80 new hunting deals that come up every 24 hours, so you can get some smoking deals on some great name brand gear. And man, with that, just in the middle of this experience, got to head back in, get that moose out here this morning. So just super stoked. Like, what a great stalk, great shot. I mean, the bull went 20 yards. It's just amazing, man. I've been after those things hard, looking for the right bull, and it was getting late in the season. It's not quite a buzzer beater, but it's getting close with my timing, as I do have to move here come November 15th. I've got a muley trip coming up that we're going to try to film and capture, and so really running short on days, and put a bunch of time and effort. I don't know how much gas in my rig and how many days of not seeing. I did see a bunch of moose, and then so I feel really good. There's a healthy population in this unit, and it's just been an absolute wild ride. Man, it's like the more you put into something, the more it means. And it's just all these seasons of these tough hunts, like tough elk hunts that take me 20 days deep, or some of these bear hunts where, I don't see a bear for days and I've got to just keep going. And so I was able to channel all that energy into this moose hunt. As it, you'll hear it on these podcasts as I get frustrated at times, but I just try to keep my head right, try to keep putting effort, try to keep theorizing, and now almost 30 days in, able to arrow a great bull. So man, I'm just super stoked. So I better get my backpack loaded up and a fresh thermos of coffee and get in there and start getting this bull out of country. So thanks so much, you guys, for all the support. I appreciate you a ton. Really happy for your guys' success here this season. And I will get back to all my Instagram personal messages, just running a bit behind here. Just like I say, every free moment is spent either working or trying to hunt a moose or getting this podcast out to you guys. So it's just been extremely busy, but it's been a good thing and a wild ride. And yeah, hunting season's starting to wrap up, but got a couple more hunts here left and want to go hard on those. And then got to buckle down and get this house done for me and my family to get into, and definitely have some responsibility to get to. But what a season. So, Wild, thanks so much for the support, guys. I really appreciate you. And man, with that, I'll check in with you guys next week.